This week's episode of A Wee Natter is brought to you by Pussyphone, now providing that brrp, brrp noise your cat makes when it's hungry, now available with 99% UK coverage. You will never miss feeding time again. This is I'm getting all sneezy today. This is indeed A Wee Natter. I am Mark Steele, and with me is...
Jenny Steele.
You're kind of giving the game away about that in the family thing. It makes us sound like we're... overly connected or something like that, doesn't it?
We're not.
We are not a crime family. I will point that one out. And the other thing I should point out, dear listener, or you might already know this if you're a dear viewer, and I'm looking straight down the lens at you right now, is we're trying to add video to this podcast thing as well. Admittedly, you are not going to see Jenny, because we only have one camera, and for some reason we decided that I'd be the one to appear on it. I don't know how we came to that conclusion. The other one is, this is supposed to be a podcast by Solid Radio, all right?
Mm.
But we've now got moving pictures.
We have.
So do we become Solid Radio Pictures? Which is wonderfully old-timey sounding, isn't it? We're going back to the past. Solid Radio Talkies. So one thing I have always wondered, and it just popped into my mind recently again, it's one of these things that keeps recurring over and over. Why are there different rules for naming different things in your life? There are specifically, as an example, pet names, and there are specifically human names. But there are some names that work for both, like Max. So I'm wondering, why can't you name a dog Dave?
Do you know, it won't surprise me some people have actually named the dog Dave. I mean, I've heard a dog called Colin before.
Colin?
That's quite funny, actually, yeah. Colin, come on, Col.
It makes it sound like some middle-aged bloke's going to suddenly appear out of a bush or something like that, doesn't it? But the other one I was sitting there thinking is, you can name your dog after a car. Rover.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
But you can also do the same with humans as well. Mercedes.
What about Aston? Oh, no, that's Austin.
Austin.
Oh, I don't know.
Austin's already a people name. So I'm looking at that going, so you're allowed to call your kid Mercedes, but you're not allowed to call your kid Rover. Is there like a prestige element? It's got to be a high enough prestige brand before you can name your kid after it.
Yeah. Aston Martin. You could call your kid Martin. Do you reckon it's because they wish they'd always been able to afford an Aston Martin?
Well, I'm also wondering, could you call your kid Dacia? Or, as times get tough, are you going to start calling your dog Dacia?
Or what about Duster?
Duster.
I like it.
But there is a bigger problem. And I wonder if you suffer from it, dear listener / viewer, and you, Jenny, as well. Remembering names. I cannot remember names to help myself. It gets to the point where I've been speaking to someone for 6 months, genuinely 6 months, and I have to wait for somebody to say their name and go, that's what it is. Oh, James, Bob, Jenny, whatever it is. I won't admit I was doing that on the aisle because that would be very bad. I'd already twigged by that point. I figured that one out. But can you ask by the time you get to, let's say, 6 months, a year, oh, sorry, I forgot, what's your name? Or is that too late?
It's difficult, isn't it? I've had conversations with people the same for about 6, sometimes up to a year, and you it's too late. The time's gone. You can't actually then say, sorry, what was your name again? Can you? You either have to rely, like you say, on somebody else knowing it, so you can secretly ask, or you can't do it. I think once you've met them a couple of times, after that, if you forgot, that's it. Just leave it alone.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there. But bearing all this in mind and going, right, this is a complicated problem, that embarrassing moment where you have forgotten somebody's name that you've been dealing with for a long time, I think for that very reason, we should just name our children and pets. This is child free and cat 6. They love playing in the garden together. That's what I think we should be doing.
This is child 14.
Child 14. A little worrying if only 3 of them turn up. It means something's gone horribly wrong.
Now, I want to ask you a question, Mark, and viewers and listeners, as we say. Rubbish meals. Have you ever been to a restaurant and had a rubbish meal?
Well, I think everyone has. It was called the school canteen.
Yeah, but you don't say anything, do you? So...
Well, not to the dinner ladies I had. No, you didn't. You stayed in line. You didn't question it. You just took what was given to you.
So it's like, picture the scene. You're in a nice posh restaurant. You've all got your main courses in front of you. Everybody's always the person next to you looks better than what you've chosen, doesn't it? And you always wish you've had what the person next to you was eating, but you got yours. And this particular night, I'd ordered a steak. So I cut into my steak.
Posh. You went for a steak?
I went for a steak. So I cut into the steak, but it was red. Now, I like my meat well done. I don't like to see blood in a steak. So I thought, right, so I did. When they come round and they say, is everything all right with your food? Unfortunately, my steak's a bit raw. Apologies, took it back, waited, brought it back. Same again, it was still red. So my steak actually went back 3 times in the end. You know what? After it came back the 3rd time, it actually came back as a pork chop. Can you move?
Hold on a minute. So
it went in the kitchen as a steak.
I could understand it coming back looking like boot leather. It's been incinerated. The cow's family had a ceremony because it was that charred. I would understand that. Coming back as a completely different meat, a pork chop.
Came back out the kitchen, went in the kitchen as a steak and came back as a pork chop. And I don't know if the chef had some sort of breakdown or whatever, but I must say the pork chop was cooked to perfection. So I just carried on with the meal, much to the laughs of, the people on the table that basically looked in the appearance. Obviously, they knew it was a pork chop, but it was great.
So in the end, it worked out well because you couldn't stand how he was cooking the steak anyway.
No.
You had a disagreement. She said, you know what? I've had enough of this person. They clearly don't understand steak. I'm going to give them something that you do cook for 15 weeks solid and still ends up being all chewy and all that. I don't get the point of pork. Honestly, I do bacon, I do ham, I understand that.
But not pork.
Pork chops is just, come on, mate. I'll even do gammon. I'll even go to that level.
Do we all say that when we've got a rubbish meal and they come round and go, is everything all right? You go, yeah, it's beautiful, that beautiful. And then as soon as they've gone, you're like, this is absolutely trash. But you never say it, do you?
I have a barrier that I go to for that one, all right? So if the meal's, at the level where I'm throwing up my dinner and rushing to the toilet, I will complain about it. If it's like, you know what, it's just slightly off and this is, a cheap jail for rest, I'm not going to complain about it. It's a judgment you make at that point, isn't it? But you're right. Being British, you tend to lean towards,
it's fine, thank you.
It's all good, don't worry,
And you're like, I'm not coming here again.
I love frozen food, it's brilliant. So at the time of recording, dear viewer / dear listener, whichever you happen to be, some major events have kicked off. So by the time you hear this, it's a few weeks ago, which can be stressful. I'll admit, major events are stressful. Everyone has to remember where they put that one classic FM CD they got mistargeted as a Christmas gift 15 years ago. I've still not found mine. I found my Wartime Ditty CD from about 20 years ago at one of the VE Day Remembrance Parade things I did in Rosyth. And it was about 20 years ago now. That was literally DJing, like you would at a fete or something like that, playing wartime ditties. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever been involved in. And I don't get involved in things like that nowadays, frankly. But there are many healthy and not so healthy ways of dealing with stress, aren't there? Imagining you're in your happy place is a great example of dealing with it healthily, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Though nowadays you do kind of have to check the third times if it's a rundown British seaside experience that's your happy place. So Jenny, have you got any good ways of dealing with stress?
Well, I like to go for a walk. I like to visit coffee shops. I like to stroke Sooty the solid radio cat. She's a stress buster.
That's quite an exclusive one. That's not even one we can offer out as a paid experience to Patreon.
I like my garden. I like potting around in the garden, growing things in the greenhouse and that sort of thing.
Put a bit of Alan Titchmarsh on, you've nailed it for the
I've
weekend.
got my diffuser as well with all my essential oils.
Oh, is that why it smells of all sorts of funky things in here?
Yeah.
It smells like a lush, I'll tell you that, dear listener. Just be glad smell-o-vision isn't a thing. It would overload your smell-o-vision device. But I've been looking at some of the dafter ways of dealing with stress. And I want you to tell me what you think of them, Jenny. Writing a postcard. You might get a telegram back. What do you think of that one?
No, I'd get stressed writing a postcard.
All you write in a postcard is, I'm enjoying myself at insert holiday destination here.
Wish you was here.
I mean, you don't tend to send a postcard from Slough, do you?
You see, you've got to find the postcard. You've got to hunt the postcard down, find it, and then think, oh, what shall I really say? Do I just say, wish you was here, or do I put a little bit more onto it? What do I do? And you've got to be careful, because obviously, when you post a postcard, it's on view what you've written, isn't it? It's not like it's in an envelope, so you've got to be careful what you write.
Yeah, you're not going to put anything that's going to upset the postman. Let's be honest. You've got to be a little bit sensible.
No, I'd say no for me.
Another one I found on the internet. I'm not making this up. You're sitting. You don't believe me, dear listener / viewer, and you don't believe me, Jenny, here. But roll your face.
Roll your face.
Like not like put it in a roll, but like put it almost like a paint roller type thing. It's the best way I could describe it. You literally roll it up and down your face, like you're painting a wall on your face.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'm not making it up. What do you think of that one?
When you said roll your face, I was thinking back to one of the moves that we used to do at Glow Beats when we did a roll.
When you did it?
We do a roll, a body roll.
What, like a roly-poly?
Nah.
No, that wouldn't be a very good stage dance.
No, I don't think I'd do roll my face either.
No, and the final one I found on the internet was read an old diary. And I've got one, genuinely, I've got a diary from 2002. Boy, at that time was I food focused. I could tell you exactly what I ate every day of that year in 2002 and what I thought of it as well. But no, seriously, my current approach, dear listener, is to go for a long walk. The bad news is I keep burning through shoe soles, unfortunately, with the sheer amount of walking I'm doing. To the point that with this current inflation we're dealing with right now, I might need to invest in some clogs or go barefoot. Or I am going to go broke. Never mind the heating bills.
I'm just going to talk to you quickly about Facebook. I know quite a lot of people use it as part of their social media kind of, usage. But sometimes Facebook can get on my nerves. I don't know about you, but sometimes I just think, oh, God, I can't deal with this today.
What specifically has Facebook done to get on your nerves? There are lots of ways Facebook can get on your nerves, and it usually involves other people.
Yes. So, for me personally, I mean, this you may think slightly differently to me, but it's people that use Facebook as a platform to brag or to show off. It's constantly in your face. So, a couple of examples for me is if somebody's pregnant, every month you feel like you're going through the pregnancy with them. There's a photo on. This is how big my bump is. Month on. This is how big my bump is. And it goes all the way up until they have the baby. And then that's it. You're bombarded with photos from birth. Then they're lying there with I'm a 1 day old card next to them. Hey, I'm 2 days old card all the way up. And you just think, my God, I feel like I'm living with this kid with you.
Now, you see, I know exactly what you're on about. I'm sure you do as well, dear listener / viewer, whatever you happen to be. I know exactly what you're on about. And you tend to find people go heavy on this with their first kid. It's totally understandable. And, it's a brand new experience. You're new to being a parent. It's all very exciting. By about kid 2, 3, 4... it's all died off, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I'm seeing things now where they're on the second and third kid, and it's still, you're kind of going through the motions. And the second thing is holidays. People are going abroad. Again, I feel like I'm on the holiday with them, because from the minute that they've stepped out, they've driven to the airport, they're having the duty free or whatever, they're on the plane, it's photos. I'm on the plane, yeah, we're here. I'm sitting down, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I think, do you know what? I don't really care what you're doing at your holiday. Do you have to broadcast your holiday to everybody?
Well,
it's that sort of thing. To be perfectly honest, and I don't know if that's just me, but
so getting into this, you're talking about something you're seeing the holiday in real time, basically.
I'm seeing the holiday but you know what I do?
But I was going to say, this is very much like, you remember in the olden days when people used to get their photos processed?
Yeah.
And then they'd bring them round to your house and show you all their holiday snaps.
They don't have to now, do they? It's all on Facebook and Instagram or whatever. But you know what I do?
What do you do?
People don't even know that you're doing this. I just unfollow them. If I find that the situation is going to, let me say, explode or blow up my pages in Facebook, I think that's what the youth say, I just unfollow them, and then I don't get to hear anything of them again. So they don't know that, and so it's not like you're unfriending them. You just unfollow them, and then you just don't get to see their everyday posts of their baby having a bit sick on the shoulder.
You are admitting that you are doing the digital equivalent of when they brought their holiday snaps around. You say, "Yeah, that's great, that's exciting. All right, you can keep showing me."
Yeah.
And while they're flicking through the pictures, you're walking off making a coffee.
Walking off.
That's what you would. You do that in real life?
You see, I wouldn't have the nerve to do that in real life because I'm too nice. But obviously, people don't know that you unfollow them. They don't know. You don't have to put up with it all. But you know what?
Yeah.
Talking about newborns on Facebook, I might have a bragging right. I've got a newborn frog in my front garden. Does that count?
I've been on the internet, dear listener/viewer, whichever you are, and Jenny as well. And I can tell 2022 is going brilliantly for someone, because on the internet I found them asking, it's almost 2023, what has, shouting, no reason, not shouting, to still exist? So what has no reason to still exist in 2023? Does anything come to mind for you?
I'm going to say for me, paying with cash in shops, bakeries, and especially when you're going on a bus, I think everything should be tap and go.
I totally understand where you're going from, especially now we're through COVID. And I don't know where it comes from, because I know it's totally wrong. But my mind, the moment somebody says, oh, it's a cash-only business, goes to, oh, you're not paying your tax, are you? I know that's not the truth.
It's tricky as well, because we live in a little village and the majority of the shops are all cash. And if you don't know that, I could only spend £3 max it was a baker's, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I was eyeing up the cakes and the croissants, and I was going to take myself a big swag bag in there. But she says cash only, and I thought, well, I've only got £3, so I had to make do with a coffee and one cake.
So that's actually helped your waistline.
It
That's
did,
what you've got to view this. It is calorie deficit through the inability to pay because you can't get hold of cash.
You can't.
So on top of that, I've been looking at some of the responses on the internet people have had to this question. Somebody brought up the idea of printers that don't work. This is almost 2023. Printers still don't work. I hate to admit this in public, dear listener, but I used to be an IT person for my sins. And anytime you mention the P word, I get 1,000-yard stare and flashbacks. They are horrible, beastly devices that should not exist on this planet. But they still do, and they don't work half the time. It's ridiculous.
They don't.
And still, even in this day and age. Another one that popped up, junk mail, which I'd stretch further to include spam. I mean, when is the last time? Now, I'm asking you, dear listener, and I'm asking you, Jenny, as well.
I've got a tin of spam in my head now.
You got a tin of spam in it. When was the last time you had spam? No,
spam fritters.
I think I've had it once in my life and decided it was a bad idea. When was the last time you genuinely bought double glazing just because somebody asked you? Remember,
never.
They used to phone you up and go, "Did you like some double glazing?" And I went, "No." Who actually said, "You know what? Now you mention it, yes, I'll have some double glazing. I want to spend a couple of grand on double glazing." It was ridiculous. I mean, there's also the world we're in, dear listener, and dear viewer, you, Jenny, as well. It was supposed to end in 2012, but it hasn't. We're still here. What's going on? I'm misled. It's outrageous. So I am going to open this up to you, dear listener/viewer. It is almost 2023. What should have no reason for still existing? I want you to get in touch, whether it is through the Spotify question and answer section, or you can get onto whatever social media platform of your choice and search for Solid Radio UK and send your messages that way. Or if you prefer talking to a cat instead, and I totally get it, I totally understand. I see where you're
She's
coming
waiting
from.
for the calls.
We've got her working the calls.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't realise we had a phone line. At Solid Sooty is the one to get in touch with as well. And tell us about those things that you're going, it's almost 2023. Why is that still here? How's that still a thing? And my personal response, is got to be checks. I got one from the DVLA recently because I was flogging a car for like £5. It was the money back for your tax for the year, whatever. A couple of months left. Why in 2022 have I got to find a post office, or even rarer, a bank branch to get my money back from the DVLA? Why is that a thing in 2020? Why have they not heard of PayPal? Even this Nigerian prince I've been chatting to on email, he's even got PayPal as well.
You know the saying that size doesn't matter?
I think that's misleading, that saying, but continue on.
Yeah, well, it seems it does on one thing that I came across today.
You haven't been on the internet, have you?
I haven't, no.
No, as long as it's not anything dirty, I'm willingly
It's not, no.
Okay.
No. So, who knew that choosing a rug would be so difficult? Now, apparently, there's rules to follow when you're buying a new rug, and no matter what room it's for, there's rules to follow, and apparently, it's all down to size.
Hang on, surely you just go, I've got this much carpet or flooring that I need covered, I quite like that style, I'll go for that.
No. Apparently, the way to choose, let's take, for example, the living room, the way to choose the correct size rug is to make sure that at least the front legs of your furniture are sitting on the rug.
Well, is this just to hold it down so it doesn't curl up and you trip over it in the middle of the night?
See, ideally all of the legs of the furniture, but if you can't find a rug big enough, then the front feet of your furniture should fit on the rug. Otherwise, it makes the room look small. It doesn't make the room look like it's all been kind of joined together, with the rug. So I'm like thinking, I'm looking for a rug for the living room, but I'm like, can you see me carrying a 12-foot rug on the number 87 bus? And I just think, I'm thinking about just going rugless now, not having one at all.
Whoa.
And I don't mean the thing on your head either.
No rugs, no Americans, nothing. You're just going completely rugless. Wow.
Yeah, so I'm sticking to size. Really does not matter. It's basically, it's what you do with it, isn't it? It's what you do with your rug.
I didn't realise that was a thing. So today, dear listener/viewer, we have learned that apparently there are rules about rugs, and apparently we're still supposed to use them in the same way they did in grand old houses of the Victorian era, where they covered most of the floor. Yeah. And you just stuck your furniture around the edges. Apparently we're still supposed to be doing that in 2020.
We are, who knew?
Wow. So I ended up going to the theatre recently, dear viewer/listener. Saw the Book of Mormon. It was my cup of tea. Had to leave Jenny behind. It wasn't her sort of thing. She decided not to go. But it's the first time I've been to a theatre since seeing, Blood Brothers in school when they were up in Edinburgh, almost 20 years ago now, or Hitchhikers when they went down to Southampton. But even seeing a mainstream show with the rest of the general public, because I'm not going to see anything big and fancy like opera or classical music. They won't let me in, will they? Even going to see a mainstream show at a proper theatre, it feels like I shouldn't be there. I just spent the whole time feeling I was in the wrong place. It happens with anywhere posh. So with work, a couple of months ago, we went to, I think it was some polo club or something. Oh. I was there the whole time expecting to get kicked off the estate. I was like expecting to go, sorry, you shouldn't be here, and booting me out. Although on the topic of polo, how do they train the horses to swim for water polo? Horses are very easily scared. All the splashing, would have thought put them off. But I do remember when I was a kid with golf courses, and I probably shouldn't admit this on media in the public, but we used to occasionally sneak on to the local municipal golf course, local council golf course, and, we'd find balls that had long been left in the rough. They were sitting in bushes and things like that. We'd wash them and we'd sell them for a couple of pennies. And because of that, we'd get kicked off the course with some regularity, wouldn't we? Yeah. Maybe it's coming from my criminal past. Maybe that's where this is coming from. And it may have had an effect. But I don't know why I feel it with the theatre. I mean, I'm not making this up. I have performed, and you won't believe this, dear listener/viewer, and you won't believe it either, Jenny. I have performed at Carnegie Hall after all.
Have you?
Yeah, not that place, but it was the same guy. Right there in the corner from his birthplace museum. And if I ever over-enthusiastic volunteer, I promised I'd return to see the next day many years ago now. This vodcast, podcast, however you happen to consume it, dear listener/viewer, has been a Wee Natter. I've been Mark Steele. Across from me has been...
Jenny Steele.
It happens occasionally. This is how we do it. If you're struggling to find us, the ways to do it are through your podcatcher, search for Solid Radio, and remember to subscribe so you get the latest shows straight to your earbuds and you can enjoy every single moment.
How do they subscribe?
Well, you just search for it and then there's like a button to subscribe. It depends on what podcatcher you've got. I could sit here for 20 minutes listing every one I can think of. And they'd all be slightly different. But I'm sure you'll figure it out, dear listener. We even have a video that shows you how to do it.
We do have a video, don't we?
We do have a video somewhere. Otherwise, if you prefer it in video form, YouTube. Seriously, get yourself on YouTube. Search for the Solid Radio channel, which this video is probably on right now. So if you go down there somewhere, down at the bottom, hit the subscribe button, remember to hit the bell, and you'll get that little ding notification every time one of these episodes happens to drop in.
And it works perfectly, we've been told.
You've been trying it.
I've been told by one of our dedicated listeners that he'd listened to, I think it was the country show, and as soon as the country show had finished, he was alerted straight away that we'd put new material on. So it works perfect.
That is the modern word for you. If you get a chance to rate the show, remember 5 stars is the absolute minimum you can put in. Remember to put a comment about how it is absolutely life-changing, brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
Even if you hate every moment on it, make sure you do that.
Share the love.
It helps the algorithms. It's brilliant. Until the next time, this has been a Wee Natter from Solid Radio.